Hello everyone, I'm Chef Eugen Orsu, and I'd like to welcome you to this course. Today you'll learn how to make the renowned chocolate bonbons. We'll be using dark chocolate, filling them with a raspberry ganache, and then I'll show you how to give them a stunning finish. Of course, I'll also guide you through the chocolate tempering process and key techniques, so you can create bonbons that look and taste just like those in the finest French chocolateries. Before we begin, make sure to download the PDF handbook below. It contains additional details to complement our video lesson, including bonus recipes. Now, let's get started. The most important thing when making molded bonbons, known as pralines, is to have polycarbonate molds, available in various shapes and sizes. Here we have leaf, heart, and sphere molds of different dimensions, which help diversify our product and allow for different flavors. Polycarbonate molds are the most recommended as they can be reused multiple times without compromising the final product's quality. In contrast, plastic molds will eventually degrade, making the final product less glossy and of lower quality than it should be. The most economical, optimal option is using special chocolate molds, just as good as polycarbonate ones, but with slightly different plastic quality. However, the final result will not be of poor quality. In the next video, we will demonstrate how to use them correctly. The only disadvantage of these molds is that with repeated use over time, they start deteriorating. Personally, I have used them for a few seasons and they eventually wear out. To solve this, we get a few extra molds, some backup shapes we need, and replace them periodically. They are much more affordable than polycarbonate molds, allowing us to save money while maintaining the same results. Additionally, for a wow effect, we will need liposoluble colorants, which are fat-soluble. The amount used depends on the manufacturer's recommendations on the packaging. We also have a gold spray, and we can also add a velvet effect if desired, using a special velvet spray or a spray gun. Here we have raspberry puree, liquid glucose, and inverted sugar, which we heat to 40 degrees before adding sugar and pectin and bringing it to a boil. We use a whisk to mix everything. Once it reaches 40 degrees, we gradually add the sugar and pectin. Mix well and bring it to a boil. Upon boiling, we continue cooking for another 2 minutes while stirring. After 2 minutes, we let the jam activate and cool down. We transfer it into a glass and leave it to chill. In this recipe, we also heat raspberry puree, then add sugar, liquid glucose, and sorbitol. We heat it to 80 degrees, then pour it over chocolate and mix. Once the puree reaches 80 degrees, we remove it from the heat and blend it. Here we have melted dark and milk chocolate, which we transfer into a bowl. We also add the raspberry puree along with the rest of the ingredients. Then we take a blender and mix everything well before adding the butter. We add the butter and continue mixing until we obtain a smooth and glossy mixture. We transfer the obtained mixture into a piping bag and let it cool down to 29 degrees C, which is the optimal temperature for piping the ganache into molds. Now I'm going to show you how to color polycarbonate molds to achieve different shades and textures on bonbons. First, you should know that the recipe for this mixture is provided below, but in general it consists of 3 ingredients: cocoa butter, white chocolate, and food coloring. As you can see in this video, the mixture is applied using a spray gun or an airbrush. By the way, the shine of our bonbons is not just due to the chocolate tempering, but also to the quality of the mold we use. It's important to use a polycarbonate or high-quality plastic mold. The mold must be clean, and to remove any small particles or grease residue, we'll use at least 40 degrees alcohol and a clean cotton gauze or a lint-free cotton pad. Once we've ensured that the mold is clean, we place it in the refrigerator for 10 minutes at 4 degrees. After 10 minutes, we take out the mold and start spraying. Once the first layer is applied, we clean the mold thoroughly, let it stabilize, and then apply the second layer. Again, we clean the mold properly and allow it to stabilize for a few minutes. To enhance the red color, a second layer of white can be applied. To achieve the splatter effect, we follow this process. Using a small brush, we gently flick the mixture onto the molds to create a pigment effect. Then, we clean off any excess. To make the design stand out, we spray the white mixture. After allowing some time for crystallization, now we let it stabilize and move on to the next step. We start by melting the dark chocolate until it reaches 45-48 degrees. It's important to stir the chocolate thoroughly to ensure an even and uniform temperature. For tempering, we use the classic tabling method, working on a marble or granite surface. We pour the melted chocolate onto the surface and using 2 spatulas, we begin the tempering process by spreading and gathering the chocolate repeatedly. This helps lower the temperature gradually to 29 degrees, ensuring proper crystallization of the cocoa butter. Once the chocolate reaches 29 degrees, we transfer it back into the bowl where it was initially melted and gently reheat it to 30-31 degrees. This is the optimal working temperature for dark chocolate, allowing it to remain fluid, glossy, and well-tempered. Proper tempering ensures that our pralines will have a crisp snap and a smooth, shiny finish after setting. Now that our chocolate is properly tempered, it is ready to be used. We pour it into the molds, tapping them lightly to ensure the chocolate spreads evenly and fills all the details of the mold. Then, we turn the mold upside down, allowing the excess chocolate to drip out. Using a spatula, we clean off any remaining chocolate on the edges, flip the mold back onto the work surface, and leave it to crystallize gradually. Once the chocolate has fully set and crystallized, we can proceed with filling our molds. Here we have our raspberry confit, which crystallized after a few hours in the refrigerator, and now we will mix it. We transfer the raspberry confit into a piping bag for later use. Now, we begin filling our molds. Here we have a raspberry ganache, which is still hot, and we temper it until it reaches 30-29 degrees. Now we fill the molds with the raspberry ganache. Once the bonbons are filled, we let them crystallize for 6 to 8 hours at room temperature or in a chocolate fridge at 14 degrees C for about 6 hours. After stabilization, we move on to the sealing or enrobing stage, where we cover the chocolates with a final layer of tempered chocolate. After a few hours, our ganache has stabilized and we can now cover it with chocolate. I will use a heat gun to warm the surface before covering it with chocolate. We secure the cling film and, with a smooth motion, cover the bonbons. To make it easier to remove them from the molds, place them in the refrigerator for 5 minutes. In the meantime, we seal the bonbons from the other molds. Here's our final result. To ensure Ganache's stability, it is recommended to let it set for at least 8 to 12 hours in the refrigerator at 14 degrees or at room temperature. These bonbons can be stored at room temperature with a shelf life of 30 days. We're now reaching the end of our course, but before we wrap up, I want to remind you to download the PDF handbook below. It contains additional useful information and bonus recipes to complement what you've learned. Thank you for staying with me until the end. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you in future courses. See you soon.